Hello and welcome back to RamsTalkPodcast. And we're here after Derby's quite unbelievable 1-0 away win at Hull City. I mean, we knew it was going to be difficult. We knew it was going to be nervy. It definitely was both of those things. But Derby managed to get it over the line thanks to Nat Phillips, bullet header, top corner. And it's been a really good weekend. There's been some big games in the East Midlands this weekend. Derby took theirs, another team bottled theirs, so we won't talk about that too much. So joining me today to go through Hull City away, probably the best limbs I've been in quite some time. I think my brother got launched down about 3 different rows. As you know, Jamie's about 3 foot tall, so I'm not surprised he got ragdolled a little bit when they're going in. Well, firstly, we've got Jamie Page. How are you doing, Jamie?
Yeah, top of the world. Wasn't expected it. As I said last Sunday, was predicting a Hull win. I tempted fate, and fate decided to come to my door. So I'm not too happy about getting a score prediction wrong. A fantastic day, and yeah, a bit jealous of those scenes in the away end. I wish I could have been there.
Yeah, it's definitely good, mate. I wish you had been there. It was chaos, and we'll definitely get on to that. We've also got Callum Boocock. I kind of forgot that he actually came on this podcast, to be honest, but here he is. How you doing, mate? Now we've won. Look who's come out of the woodwork. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I only come when we're winning, so it's all good. Yeah, no, I mean, I heard Jamie's prediction, and at that point, I knew 3 points were on the cards, so it was all good. And Jamie Jamie wasn't in attendance either, so
he is the bad luck charm. So, I mean, we have to start somewhere, and the place we're going to start is the atmosphere. I mean, I thought it was really good, and I was actually surprised how good Hull's atmosphere was. I know we've been previously, it's always been really poor, to be honest. It's never really been that impressive. I think they had a lot of fan protests in the last couple of years, and they didn't have big attendances, but the fans turned up, and so did Derby. Jamie, we mentioned last season a lot the impact that the fans can have. And, you know, there were games where I remember players coming out afterwards. I remember Mendes Lang saying, I think it was after Charlton last year, that the fans dragged them over the line. And it's that atmosphere in the stands that makes the difference. I mean, it clearly did make a difference because there were times when Derby were hanging on a little bit yesterday. You know, Hull didn't really create a massive amount of chances, but they put us under a lot of pressure and had us sort of backpedaling quite a lot inside our own box. I mean, how good were Derby's fans yesterday?
Yeah, amazing. Obviously, watching it on TV is not the same. I can't give a brilliant review, but it sounded loud. And we know that Derby fans travel in numbers and are loud and will back the team. And as I said last week, Eustace is always saying about how important the fans are. And it was almost a rallying call when he first came in to be like, look, we need you. And the fans have delivered. And I think they've played a big part in getting us out of the mess that we put ourselves in. I'm so excited about Saturday because obviously I missed the game last year. I missed the promotion celebration. So I'm hoping that we can get over the line and we can celebrate and Pride Park can be as noisy as ever.
Yeah, well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Although I'm seeing talk about a pitch invasion. Remember when Forest pitch invaded, when they stayed up and the stick we gave them? Please, for the love of God, do not enter the pitch on Saturday. If we do stay up, I'm going to say if. Please don't do it. Callum, as Jamie's already mentioned, you know, the fans have made a big impact. Eustace has said that as well. You've seen the photos, you've seen the videos. I've seen the photos because I'm in most of them. And, you know, the scenes when that ball at the back of the net, you can see it in everyone's faces. You know, people say not a phone in sight, genuinely not a phone in sight. I mean, how good is it to see scenes like that?
I mean, it's great to see it after the season that we've had. I think it's kind of a combination of multiple things of like relief, ecstasy of obviously the happiness of scoring a last minute winner. I think that's what makes it even better that it was towards the very end of the game. It looked like the game was kind of petering out, and the way we've been winning games recently has been set pieces, and it was we'll talk about the goal itself a bit later, but I mean, just the sheer elation and the togetherness between the team and the fans was just evident and the way that the team just went straight to the corner, and you saw people jumping 3 or 4 rows, and that's what away days are about, and that's what we've missed this season. And I mean, we've been terrible on the road, so I mean, it's been nice to see in the last few games just us putting up a fight and us actually getting results and results that we weren't even predicting really. I mean, West Brom wasn't on the cards. Hull was a really sticky one. So it's really good that we've been able to get through these games because it's given us a fighting chance going into Saturday.
Yeah, it has. And Jamie, looking at the way Derby have played away from home, Callum mentioned there how poor we've been. One win away from home before John Eustace came in. And that was away at Coventry very early on in the season. We've gone a long time without a win. I think, obviously, I don't go to every away game. I think I was on a run of about 8 straight defeats at one point, which is absolutely ridiculous. And one comment that John Eustace made earlier in the season when he came in was fighters, not victims. Now, I think that Derby were victims. I think we were quite psychologically weak earlier in the season. If we went a goal down or, if we were away from home late on in the game, we would crack because we didn't have that belief that we could win the game. If teams put us under pressure, Luton, prime example, Luton away, they got that goal and we just completely collapsed. We imploded because we were so scared of losing that we ended up doing the worst thing we could do and sit inside our own box and started making mistakes. And that's changed under Eustace. And yesterday was a really mature away performance. It was cagey. It was terrible to watch. But Derby showed that fight and hunger that maybe we wouldn't have seen earlier in the season.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's belief amongst this group of players. There's not belief, I think, sometimes with the fans because we're still knowing what happened previously under Paul Warne this season and in previous seasons. And I was in that position yesterday. I think it's going to be 0-0. And if a team potentially nicks it, it's probably not going to be us. But that's just from being a Derby fan for how many years. But yeah, I mean, to a man, everyone was fantastic yesterday. They're battling, they're playing for the badge. As Jerry Yates said, and again, we touched upon it last week, this bunch of players cares. They all care about each other. They care about the fans. They care about the manager. And yes, we may have left it a little bit late to bring in John Eustace, and he has performed absolute miracles. But how good would it be on Saturday if we can stay in this division and we can go again next season with a man at the helm who seems to get the best out of this team? And it's hard to pick a man of the match for me yesterday because I think there's a lot of good performances. But I think Langas personified Derby County yesterday. I think he was absolutely a rock at the back. That tackle that he made on Amrabat was fantastic. He's playing through an injury. Vic's in the comments saying exactly the same thing. There's just so many players that are willing to put themselves out there, that are put their bodies on the line. And I think if Phillips hadn't have got that, Clark was going to get it, or if somebody else is going to get it past Clark, that was always going in the back of the net. So yeah, it's amazing the reaction that he's got from this group of players. And let's be honest, we have got some good players, but we've also got some pretty average players, I'd say, at this level. We definitely need some reinvestment in the playing staff, but he seems to get the best out of every single player. And as I've quoted Vic's comment, I have to say, long may it continue, I believe, don't I?
I think you do. It's contractual on here. I do think you're right. I completely agree because, I mean, you look at the way Derby played away from home. Like I mentioned before, it was really poor, and it felt, we didn't have that belief. We didn't have that belief that we were going to win these games, and Eustace has changed that. I mean, it's not just away from home; it's at home too. Take Luton out of it. Luton's a complete anomaly. It was a weird game. Things just didn't go right for Derby that day. We changed the system, didn't work. We're third in the Championship form table in the last 10 games. We've won 6 of those games. We'd won 7 in Warne's entire time in charge at Derby in the Championship. That is an unbelievable turnaround. I mean, I think I put yesterday 3 wins in 24 before Eustace came in. Obviously, he had a poor start, Eustace did, but he turned it around and he's done an unbelievable job. I mean, it's not done yet. It's not done yet, is it? We can't say, yes, he's kept us all well done, Eustace, because we could very easily, like you mentioned earlier, Jamie, crumble, collapse, throw it all away, end up going down anyway after all of this. But the job that he's done is amazing, isn't it, Callum? And it's just the way he's changed the players. Like Jamie says, he's getting so much out of players that really probably aren't cut out for this division.
No, you're spot on. I think at the end of the day, if we didn't put and the run that he's put in, we'd be down, and that's how bad of a situation we were in. I mean, he's pulled out those 4 wins on the bounce spring to mind. That if you look at any of those games individually, some of those games we really deserve. Some of those games we kind of got a bit lucky, and the luck shone our way, but without these 3 points that have come in the last few games, we would be down by now. So that's how of a sticky situation Eustace came into, and he took it on and grabbed it by the scruff of the neck. And him and his backroom team have worked absolute wonders. And my biggest thing wasn't just the tactical element that he's changed and improved, but just the sheer confidence, because the confidence was on the absolute floor, and you could see it from. QPR, he probably stood there and was like, "Oh, we've got a real job," and it wasn't anything that he could do, because at the end of the day, he'd only been in the building 48 hours. We're not even that, and you kind of look at it going, "That's what he had to work with." That performance was where we were, and now look at the team and where they are in belief and where they are in quality. Harrison Armstrong, Ibu Adams, a changed man, and you kind of look at it and going, "That's what the Championship quality manager can do." And where you probably say that the team is fluctuating between a decent League One team and a not a very good Championship team. We're in that like yo-yo department of a squad. So the fact that he's now performing the 3rd best in the league is outrageous.
Yeah, it certainly is. I'm glad you heard that, Jamie. We've got a comment from Kieran Newlands. He says he's got no sympathy for Hull sacking Rossinia for coming 7th. Yeah, I know. If Hull don't get a result at the weekend, it'll be an absolute travesty for them. But yeah, Eustace has just sorted it out, hasn't he? He sorted it out, like you mentioned, Kyle. That 4-0 was horrendous. And I think in that game, Eustace set up with the way that he kind of wants us to play going forwards. He played that back 4. He set it all up. He wanted us to, I guess, play through the lines a little bit, win knock-ons, win second balls. And he looked at this team and thought, you can't do that. And over the games following, he worked out his best team. And now he's got a system that works. He mentioned already, Sondre Langas I think he's got torn meniscus in his knee. And he's putting in absolute shifts every week. We only have really 3 centre-backs available at the minute, because we only have 1 left-back available, who's also a centre-back, which is Craig Forsyth. So we only have a bare back 5. We've had to play the same back 5 game after game after game. We've had to play pretty much the same midfield 3 game after game, the same front line. We've had such a small pool of players to choose from whilst Eustace has been here, and he's managed to turn them into a team that, our form since he's come in is unbelievable. It's top half form, isn't it? It's top half form. I had a look. His points per game at the moment is better, and I thought this is an interesting one, is better than Paul Warne's when he took us over in League One in that first season. And I think that's unbelievable. The fact that, we're in the Championship with such a diabolical side, really, on paper, isn't it? If you look, we were a mess. We'd lost 8, 9 in a row before that. And he's managed to turn it around and turn us into a good side. So, yeah, what a guy. That's what the comments are saying. What a man. And, yeah, let's hope he can finish the job. I think we need to talk about the goal, Jamie. And I think Eustace played a big part in that, because if you look at the free kick that Derby win, Caden Jackson picks up the ball and he feeds through Mendes-Lang. And I think that's what Derby needed off the bench. They needed pace, right? And he picks out Mendes-Lang. I don't think any other Derby player reaches that ball. And he forces the free kick, because otherwise he's in behind. Up steps Craig Forsyth. How no Derby manager of the last 11 years has realised that maybe we should put Forsyth on free kicks. He's quite good at crossing. Whips it in. Nat Phillips rises highest. I mean, from where I was, the second that ball went in, Phillips, you knew he was going to score, because he got himself behind the man, up in the air, header, top corner. I mean, what a way to score your first goal. And I mean, I can't think of anyone really that deserves, maybe Langas maybe deserves one, but I can't think of many other players on that pitch that deserve to score a goal of such magnitude.
Yeah, the header's amazing, but I think it's the ball. The ball makes it. It is perfect. If it had something written on it, it would say, head me into the back of the net. And that's exactly what Nat Phillips did. And like I said before, I think if Nat Phillips didn't get there, then potentially Clark would. And if you look at the replay, it's quite funny because they both have the same kind of thought process. They're on the end of the ball, and Matt Clark actually heads an invisible ball into the net as well. So could have been 2-0. But yeah, Fozzie, look, there's been times where we've been critical of him as a fan base. Even in League One, we were critical of him. If he made a mistake, he's got to go. But he has stepped up this season. I think he played quite well under Warne. He stepped up massively under Eustace. And that ball was absolutely outstanding. I think, look, you've got players playing the Prem. I've been watching that Liverpool side today. You've got players like Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andrew Robertson on the left. I don't think they play a ball in like that. I honestly don't think they do. It was
They're not
that
as good at football, that's why.
They're not as good. They're not as good. And they're not Mr. Derby County. But yeah, it was such a good goal to score. And we have been so reliant on set pieces. We really have. And I think we know that we can beat teams if we get a corner or if we get a free kick in that position or even a long throw. And you've just got to take those opportunities. But yeah, what a ball, what a header. It was a goal that deserved to win a game. And I was so pleased that it did because I just didn't want us to concede in the last moment. And it finished 1-1.
Yeah, that'd have been classic Derby, wouldn't it? If we'd gone on to do that. Callum, we got a comment from Simon Pollard saying, "What are the chances of signing Nat Phillips?" I mean, he's out of contract at the end of the season. He's on a reported 60 grand a week, which isn't really a surprise because he was playing a role for a Liverpool team in the Premier League. I mean, you can see it, can't you? When you watch him play, you can tell he's played at a higher level, the way he reads the game and the way he moves off the ball and the way he commands from the back. So can we really tempt him to the champ? I mean, I think the Championship, top half Championship's probably his level. I mean, would he take 15, 20 grand a week at Derby? Do you reckon it's doable?
I don't know. Jamie, would you take a wage cut?
What, on RamsTalk?
No, I'm just saying you're kind of giving the Nat Phillips look, aren't you, mate? With that beard.
Yeah, we've got to have our idols. You know, your idol is Callum Elder, and I've seen you limping about. So,
and maybe Nat Phillips if he cut his legs off at the knee.
I think. Look, he's got the quality to be a very, very good championship defender for us, and that's what we need. I think if you sign him and Clark, you're then saying your worries about when Aaron Cashin moved on are now done, and you're going into him with the season with Langas, Clark, and Phillips. That'll be a great back three to have, even if he does go to a back four Eustace next season. So, I think the big thing is, and it's obviously the elephant in the room that people are talking about in the comments and stuff, is that wage demand. He's been on a Premier League wage for a number of years now, and that's a hard thing for a player to then drop, especially drop to a drastic point where probably we can afford. So it will be an interesting one in the summer. I think at the end of the day, he's loving playing for us. You can see that. So I think from a club perspective, we could potentially entice him, but it's just whether obviously the finances work.
I think for me, obviously, he can probably go to a number of teams in this division, potentially those coming down as well into the division from the Premier League. One thing I was thinking about, and I'll put it to you two, I'll put it to the comments on YouTube, is when we were cut adrift at the bottom of the table and it looked like we were going down, our agents starting to have conversations with clubs at this level. You've got the likes of Wilson, Clark, Phillips now, key players, if we are able to retain them. Are their agents having conversations, or are they thinking, look, I'm just going to wait to see what happens with Derby? I wouldn't be surprised if we lose one of those to a club and there's almost been a handshake somewhere along the lines to take one of those to a different Championship club.
Yeah, it would be disappointing, wouldn't it, if that happened? But at the same time, you've got to look at the way the players are at the minute. You know, Wilson seems happy here. Look at the celebrations whenever we score. I know, obviously, every player celebrates, or at least most of them do. You know, Phillips, look at what it meant to him when he scored for Derby. You listen to his interview afterwards, how proud he was and how happy he's been. I mean, I personally think that we'll probably keep both of them. I think Wilson and Phillips. I think Clark was only a 6-month deal because he thought we were going down, didn't he? I don't think he had much confidence that we were staying up under the previous regime. So I think we've got a real good chance of keeping a lot of these players because, like was mentioned in the comments by apparently Tribudi G, I hope it is him, is put, have they responded to a proven championship manager? I think they have. And I think the players that are there now will look at Eustace and go, this is a guy I can develop with. And this is a guy that, we can go somewhere with. Derby didn't have a future under the previous management, did they really? At best, we were going to scrape survival and scrape survival again. Under Eustace, there's a real chance now to grow as a team, as a club, and to go somewhere. I'm not saying we're going to be in the playoffs. I'm not saying we're going to be pushing for promotion, but we've got a real good chance of top half. We've got a real good chance of, pushing maybe towards the top half of the championship. And I think that's a really big thing. The fact that Derby are going to become a club, if we do stay up at the weekend, Derby are a club that are looking upwards rather than a club that's fearfully staring downwards. So, yeah, that's the thing that I think would sell it to me. But then again, I'm biased because I would play for Derby even if we were in, Conference North or something like that. So,
I wouldn't even get in that team.
No, I don't think any of us would, mate. If anyone's watched us play, but I mean, with Nat Phillips as well, Jamie, it seems bizarre when you think back towards the end of 2024. We were so set on the back four of Cashin and Nelson, and Nat Phillips couldn't really get a look in. It was quite bizarre, actually. I remember we were talking about this at the time. Phillips can't get a kick. Why is he sitting on the bench? Why is he sitting there watching Nelson, give the ball away? I mean, Nelson's a good defender, but he's not good enough on the ball, especially not to play the way we were trying to play. And yet we've got a player that's, played in the Champions League, chilling on the bench, watching him play. I mean, it's bizarre, isn't it? Thinking back that Phillips couldn't even get in this team.
Yeah, and to come on loan from Liverpool, yes, we've said he's probably a championship player, but he's coming from Liverpool on loan. We know how much he's on a week. We know his pedigree. We've all seen him do that turn in the San. Was it in the San Siro? I think it was, wasn't it? He's got caliber as a player, and you're right. It was strange to see that he couldn't force his way into the team. But he's taken his opportunity under Eustace. He's taken his opportunity a little bit before that, and I can't see a team now without him in it. And I think that's going to be the sad thing is if we don't sign him and if we can't get him for next season, it's going to feel bad because he's a really good player, and I think he's really made this relationship work with Clark and Langus as well. And you mentioned there Erin Cashin. Do we miss Erin Cashin? Look, he's a fantastic player, but I don't miss him. And if he came available tomorrow on loan, yeah, I'd probably take him, but he'd probably be sitting on the bench like Phillips was at the start of this season. No, I'm joking, obviously. But it just feels so good that we've been able to sell a key asset and we haven't really felt the pain. There's no situations that I feel Cashin could have done better in that situation. Over the course of the last, ever since Eustace has been in, I've never found myself wanting Erin Cashin back in this side. Maybe at points when we'd sold Max Bird at the start of this season, and even now, of course, I'd love Max Bird back. But I just haven't missed Erin Cashin, which just is testament to these defenders at the moment.
Yeah, I think it helped that we got some experienced players through the door. I know Derby's recruitment has quite frankly not been good enough, and that's what is why Eustace is performing a miracle at the minute, because he's performing a miracle. He's not got a number 9. He's got like 2 midfielders over the size of 5'5". He's got no real wingers that he wanted. He's not got a team that he really wanted, and the fact that he's managed to do what he's doing with the team that he's got is very impressive. Callum, I mean, let's talk a little bit about the game as well. There were a couple of times where Hull sort of broke in behind Derby and caused a few problems. We've talked about Langus. He picked up an early yellow card, which he actually managed really, really well. But the thing that I guess enjoyed the most about that Derby performance in the weirdest way possible was the fact that we didn't allow Hull a clear-cut chance. in 90 minutes, Hull didn't have one chance where we thought, oh God, I can't believe they've not scored that, or oh, I can't believe we've let them score that. You know, they didn't have a single clear through 1-on-1. They didn't have a single opportunity. Derby defended really, really well. And we've seen in these big games, you know, we saw it against Luton. We were pretty poor defensively in the past, especially obviously pre-Eustace. And we've seen Derby shut up shop away at Hull and get the 3 points. I mean, how impressive was the whole team performance defensively?
Yeah, I mean that's just the product of good coaching. You can see everyone's tactically aware of what they need to do, and I think that's the thing that Eustace and his team have prided themselves on, is getting the team set up solid and being hard to beat, especially on the road. And I think the way obviously Eustace has had to set up the team because of what he's had to work with. It suits away from home, and we've seen that. I think the home games have been actually the ones where we've done all right, but I think the away performances have been the ones I've been really impressed with. It was the same yesterday. You mentioned it there. There was no real clear-cut chance for Vickers to do, and that's what you want, especially with a goalkeeper that hasn't seen much football, is him not really doing a lot. And I think when you look at West Brom had their obviously their chance that they took, and that one shot in the first half that Vickers saved. But other than that, they didn't really do a lot. And what we're seeing is Eustace kind of building a foundation. And what the clear difference between this regime and the old regime is that everyone knows their jobs to a man, and wherever the ball is on the pitch, you can see the players transitioning. They're talking to each. I've never seen so much talking, and you can actually see it on TV as well. Them telling each other where they need to go. If Armstrong's having a go at Ibu because Ibu wasn't in the right place, and they've got the confidence to be able to have a go at each other, and because they know exactly what they should be doing and shouldn't be doing. So, no, it's really, really good to see. And it'll be interesting to see how we set up on Saturday, because it's a game obviously we can't lose. So we'll see how it plays out. Well, I'd rather not, and my nerves and my heart won't take it.
Yeah, long may it continue and all of that. I'm sure we'll be saying after that, Callum. Yeah, we've got some bitter Forest fans in the comments as well. Have you noticed? Did you see them before I removed them? That was funny.
That's just given me.
He's probably.
I was happy yesterday, but I'm happy now.
He's definitely on the train on the way home with floods of tears, so it's fine.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure they're quite upset about it. But looking at Derby, you talk about knowing jobs. Now, a player that you mentioned just there that I think has learnt his job very, very quickly is Harrison Armstrong. And, you know, we talked about it the last few weeks about, can we get him back? Jamie, I think we've really got to look at this, because I thought Armstrong was unbelievable yesterday. I do think Ibu probably had one of his worst games. I've never seen a man slice a ball more in the space of about 60 minutes than he did at the start of that game. That one where it fell to him on the edge of the box, he just sliced it. It didn't even go forwards. It just went sideways when he was trying to have a shot at goal, which was horrendous. But I thought Armstrong had a really good game, and I think his calmness has played a big part in Derby's resurgence this season, because when he gets that ball, he just makes it look effortless, you know, drops the shoulder, he picks the ball up, he takes a nice first touch, sends the midfielder or attacker the wrong way, and he did that so well yesterday, and that was a big part of Hull not really being able to win the ball off us in our deep areas. I mean, how impressive has he been? Can we get him back? That's the big question, I guess. Do you think we'll get him back? Can we sit at New Goodison Park? What's the new ground called? Is it called the Dock? Is it called it? I don't know. Bramley Moor? I don't know. We'll be outside, and John Eustace will be there on his knees begging for Harrison Armstrong back. Would you want him back?
Well, yeah, of course I'd want him back, and I think we've definitely got more chance with Eustace at the helm over Paul Warne. But yeah, just to echo what you said there, it's amazing to watch him play football. I think he's the complete midfielder. I think if he continues to develop in the way he will, then yeah, we've got a potential England starting player on our hands. I genuinely do believe that, because I think he can do absolutely everything. Comparisons maybe to Wharton that plays for Palace. I think I see a lot of that in his game at the moment. I think he he can do absolutely everything. It's maybe not just the short haircut that they've both got. It's a really interesting one. I think that potentially he'll go back. He'll have a full pre-season. They're obviously losing a couple of players at the end of this season, so there might be a door for him to get in. Obviously, Doucouré's leaving Everton. Everyone knows that. Everton fans absolutely love him. Like, they absolutely love him. But what they do say is if they're not going to get him in that team, he needs to go out and needs to develop. And if he can come back and do it again with us, he starts every single week. And you've got a loan in that you just know is going to perform. I think that's so important for Derby County. We need to get the loan moves right next season. So, look, it's one that I really hope we can pull off. But whatever happens, I'm just going to... Similar, I guess, to Mason Mount, Harry Wilson, Tomori, you have a bit of an affinity, don't you? So the comments are going mad. in my right eye, I've got eyes to the comments, and it's absolutely brilliant.
I can confirm I don't do that.
Look, Forrest, you've just lost at Wembley. Yeah, just focus on that. Let small little Derby County have our moment.
I'm just drinking their tears.
But hopefully we get it done.
The fact they're on the train home watching a Derby County podcast says everything.
It's funny. It is funny. I mean, we've seen in recent years, Louis Barry's probably a good example of this. Players going back to the same club that they had success at previously, it really helps them develop. It really turns them into better players. I think a consistent base of operations, it must be difficult as a young player going out. He's just turned 18 and he's, moved down to Derby. I'm sure he's in some sort of temporary accommodation at Derby, probably living away from home for the first time. And it must be difficult for him. And so if he can have some consistency in where he's living, I think that'd be really beneficial for all parties. Maybe I'm just desperate for him to come back. Maybe I'm just making excuses for that reason. But no, it would definitely make a difference.
We need to start one of those hashtags again, or accounts counting down the days.
Yeah.
You worked for Ebu. It might work for Harrison.
150 days or something, asking for Ebu to sign for Derby. Yeah, I think it's Will Savage. Want it? Go on, Will. Get one of those sorted again. Right, we have to talk about Stoke, don't we? Last game of the season. I've got a friend who's a Stoke fan, and they messaged me the other day. Before, by the way, we'd beaten West Brom and beaten Stoke. So it's just after Luton, saying, I hope we relegate you lot on the last game of the season. Now, that immediately made me think, oh no, they're going to relegate us on the last game of the season. But it's going to be it will be a difficult game. Stoke aren't in awful form over the last 6-7 games. They had a really important win at Cardiff. I watched the end of that. It was a terrible game of football, but is it really a surprise? I think it's going to be challenging, Jamie. I don't think it's going to be as easy as we think it might be. People talking about pitch invasion staying up. I mean, it takes something really, really poor and an absolute shambles for Derby to go down. But how do you see it going?
It's really difficult. I hope that we come out with confidence. I hope that the crowd is loud, is proud, and can get behind us from the first whistle. But with everything, there's going to be ups and downs. We'll probably hear early that maybe Luton have scored, or maybe Hull have got a goal, or something like that. And that's when, the fans really need to get behind the players. I think it's just a case of, look, we've got a chance on the final day. How much would we have all paid to be in this position on the final day to give ourselves a shot of getting out of it? We're not in the relegation zone. Even if we lose, there's a chance that Preston don't get anything at Bristol City, Hull, Luton don't better our result. So, like you said there, there's a lot that's got to go wrong. We've just got to focus on ourselves. And I think John Eustace will probably say that in the presser before the game. We're not too worried about anybody else. We're worried about ourselves. I absolutely love Eustace. He's so off that, straight as a bat, isn't he, in his interviews? We've gone from having someone that will tell you all their life secrets in Paul Warne to John Eustace that you literally get, canned answers from. And to be honest, I don't want him to have a charisma or be an entertainer if he keeps us up and keeps us playing good football. But it's just important we focus on ourselves. I would like to see a bit of a change, if I'm honest. I tweeted out yesterday. I think that as much as I've liked Harness in that position alongside Yates, I think I would like to see someone different. I don't know who that is yet. I'm still thinking about it. But I think a change in formation is not needed. A change in personnel, probably.
Yeah, don't change the system. We learned that at Luton or against Luton, didn't we? We changed the system and we just didn't look right. So yeah, let's hope that we don't. But yeah, I think that's a good point. I don't think Harness has been completely himself. I know he set one of the goals up against West Brom. It was a corner. But yeah, he's not been incredible. But then again, if you've got Harness starting, you've got someone like Mendes Lang to bring off the bench later on in the game, and his pacing behind is what ended up leading to us winning the game against Hull. So yeah, so this is why he's in charge. This is why he makes these decisions, because he can make these decisions and he occasionally gets them right. So Callum, for Derby to go down, these things all need to happen. Derby need to lose to Stoke. Preston need to get a point minimum at Bristol City. Luton need to get a point minimum at West Brom. And Hull need to beat Portsmouth. So it would take quite a lot to happen. However, if Derby win and all of those teams win, Stoke will go down. So there's a lot riding on this game. It's a really big game. And I think, to be honest, if I was a Stoke fan, I'd probably be a little bit concerned going into this game because, if things don't go their way, they could very much end up in that bottom three at the end of the day. Then again, so could we. So it's going to be a tense game, Callum. How do you see it going?
I mean, like Jamie said, Eustace will basically just say, you win today, you're safe. At the end of the day, that's all we need to worry about. If we get 3 points, we're safe. Doesn't matter what else goes on elsewhere. It's the same as when we were doing the complete shift in going up to the Championship from League One. If we beat Carlisle, we're going up. So it's like, just focus on what is happening at Pride Park. Don't worry about anything else. For all the fans, focus all your energy onto the pitch and getting the players trying to get the win. Don't worry about what's on your phones, because at the end of the day, you probably won't get a 4G signal anyway. So just focus on what's on the pitch, because at the end of the day, especially for Stoke, I mean, I was looking at their form, because obviously you pointed out, I actually thought they were in worse form, but they've only lost 2 games in the last, I think, 7 or 8, and it's only to Leeds and Sheffield United, who are currently going for promotion. Well, one's promoted already, so they're not a bad team. So this is going to be a very tough match, and it's going to take all the efforts of all the players, but also of all the fans. And what I'm glad about it is it's been sold out for about a week and a half. So it's every single seat is going to be filled, and I'm just hoping that if we can get in there early, start creating an atmosphere, create a bit of a cauldron, because have Stoke sold out their away end? I think they have. I don't know. I'd assume so.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, from both sides, it's going to be absolutely rocking. So we need to make sure that we make it as a difficult place to play football in as possible for them and for the players to get behind. So do you want to do me score predictions right now? Or do you want me to hold off?
No, I think you should hold off, Carl.
Fair enough.
Here's one for you, lads. Would we prefer Stoke to be in this situation or be on the beach, as we say? Like, do we prefer that they need to come out and play, or would we have preferred that they were safe and they were, well, as people say, on the beach?
I think we need them to come out and play, because I think we're better when teams come at us.
Yeah. And I think also I said this a couple of weeks ago, the more teams in this fight to stay up, the better, because what you want is that it's not just down to 1 or 2 teams and and the nerves kick in. You want as many teams as possible, because if someone's losing 3-0, and I did just jest about not looking, but if someone's losing 3-0 at half time, you're kind of looking at it going, you can kind of breathe. So you're not just sat there looking at Stoke. So, but I think at the end of the day, we beat them. It's down. If they go down, they go down.
Yeah, I tell you what, it would be incredibly funny. I think that's the only reason. It's because it would be really funny, for us to have been in such a terrible situation. I mean, Stoke were very loud against us when they beat us earlier in the season. It would be quite funny. I don't think it'll happen. I think, as Torture Pickles says in the comments, I think Preston are probably going to end up falling. They've won 1 game since the start of February. So it's a really difficult run for them. And yeah.
I do find weird. I was saying to my brother yesterday, I mean, the fact that Cardiff have gone down is mental. You think a couple of years ago, and you think the teams that are trying to stay up, you've got Luton, who've just come down from the Premier League, got Preston, who are a established championship team, you've got Stoke, you've got Hull. It's like the teams that are in this last gasp fight is absolutely mental.
Yeah, there's some established teams in there, but I think that's what makes it more exciting, isn't it? You've got a lot of teams down there that would lose a lot if they went down. I think it's not like, when teams come up a lot of the time, especially if they're smaller teams, they can lose and they can go down. Remember when Burton came up? I know they obviously stayed up first season. They went down and it wasn't really a massive problem for them because they knew, they weren't built to live in the Championship long term. Plymouth are probably in a similar boat. I mean, they've had an unbelievable run recently, haven't they? But they're probably in a similar boat. Whereas if Stoke go down, they could collapse. If we went down, we'd have serious financial problems. A lot of these teams will have real issues if they drop down to League One. So there's so much on the line, and I think that makes it a lot more exciting as well. I think it actually is score prediction time, Cal, but I'm not coming to you first because you were too hasty. So, Jay, if you've got any score predictions, please let us know in the comments as well. It'd be good to see them. Jamie, kick us off, mate. Score prediction, goal scorers, whether you'll be on the pitch or not.
Attendance. Will Eustace start the bounce? Will Josh Vickers do the Zetterstrom roll? We'll get through all of those. Maybe we'll take that offline. But I see there being some similarities between the last game of this season and last season. So I am going to say we're going to win 2-0 and number 8 is going to score and number 9 is going to score. So they're going to come late in the game. It's going to be a Ben Osborne and Kemar Roof goal. Kemar Roof, 90-ish minutes, something like that, and Ben Osborne off the bench with a goal similar to the goal that he scored against us for Forest, something like that. So, yeah, that's my prediction.
For Forest?
Yeah, when he scored for Forest against Derby. Do you remember? You're too young, probably.
Of course. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I thought you said Kemar Roof then.
I thought you said Kemar Roof.
Yeah, I thought you were about Kemar Roof. I was like, I didn't play for Forest. What are you on about?
Yeah,
no comment.
Yeah, he played for another team that I don't like.
I like it. I think there's more chance of a lot of things happening than that happening, Jamie, I must admit, especially those 2 goal scorers. I don't think Ben Osborne managed a shot on target in his 30-something games for Derby so far. Cal, what do you reckon?
Well, I think Jamie will end up on the pitch, probably the only one on there because he missed out last year. So that will.
Yeah, surely I'm allowed. Surely I'm allowed.
Just Jamie gets arrested.
Score prediction: I'll go 1-0. I'll go 1-0 win for Derby, and I'll go Langas header. I'll get him a goal before the end of the season. He deserves it. He's playing on one leg, the absolute man mountain. I love him.
That would certainly be nice. John Foss says 2-0 Derby. We've got Simon Pollard who says 1-1. I mean, still take that. Adam Lilly says 1-0 Jerry Yates. You got Vic Singh as well. This bloke, I don't know who he is. He keeps turning up, but he says 2-1 for the Rams. Adams and Roof to bag the winner. It'd be nice for Kemar Roof to score for Derby. He'd have turned up for a reason then. We've got a few players like that, haven't we? We've got Roof, Hendrick, Peters that I think are just here to fill the bench and give us a bit of experience, I guess, if desperately needed. But yeah, it would be nice for him to score. And Tosh Pickle says it will be 1-0 Derby with Ebou Adams scoring. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I think it's going to be a 0-0. It's going to be well boring. It's going to be 2 teams that know a draw would keep them up. But at the same time, anything could happen. And just as long as we don't lose, that's the big thing, isn't it? Don't lose.
Yeah.
Don't lose and we'll be fine. All we have to do is draw, unless Hull win about 4-0, and then we'll be in real trouble. But all we have to do is draw.
Watch what would happen. It will be another game will be going like 3-0. It will be going both the teams' ways, and both teams will just start passing it around the pitch and just not really doing a lot. And everyone in the crowd just going like, do no lays. And
Vickers is sat down in goal because he's not touched the ball in half an hour. Ball's not gone out of play for 30 minutes because just passing it around in the centre. Yeah, that'd be something. But let's hope Derby can get that result because, it'd be really special to stay up. I mean, 7 points adrift ahead of this run of 10 games. So it'll be really, really good to see. So thank you so much for listening. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe. If you're a Forest fan, please do subscribe. We'd love to have you back. We've enjoyed your presence here today. And yeah, do give us a rating if you're on Spotify, Apple Pods. It really means a lot. So thank you so much for that. So we're going into the final game of the season. One more to go for Derby to get over the line and hopefully secure a place in the Championship next season. We're so close. We're almost there. Let's just do the final push. So thank you very much. Goodbye from me.
I'll see you on the pitch at full time. It's goodbye from me.
And long may it continue. Goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for joining us all season so far. Very quick one. If you've listened this far, you get a little sneak peek. We're actually in this episode hitting 1,000. What am I talking about? 500,000 total listens. So 500,000 listens, which is really, really special and means a lot to all of us. So yeah, we'll reach that milestone probably in the morning and post about it later. So thank you so much to everyone who supported us over the last couple of years. Especially during the difficult times. And yeah, we're really grateful for you. So see you soon. Let's hope we beat Stoke. Goodbye.